that was a very bleaky picture. Within the 21 speakers in this conference, none of us came from Yemen directly. As someone who's going to speak about the civil society organization in Yemen, I would have loved that someone would come from Yemen and speak about their work inside the country. But, you know, the first challenge for that to happen is the on and off travel ban. And it's such a shame that only the privileged people could go and have access to Yemen, while Yemenis are trapped in siege and not able to come and speak to policymakers here in the US or even to the public to raise awareness about their situation in Yemen, while American bombs have an easy access to be dropped in Yemen. Yemenis are not wanted. Yemenis are trapped in borders. Just last week, one Yemeni journalist was found drowned in the Algerian coast as he was fleeing Yemen, aiming to reach Spain, I think. So it's shocking how all powers seem to be against Yemenis and trapping them and not allowing them to, let their stories reach such important places like the US or UK or, other European countries. It's very, very personal for me to talk about the Yemen Civil Society Organization because I owe everything that I know from my political awareness to the women who really led the civil society organizations in Yemen. As someone who comes from, non-political family, from Harat al-Raqas in Sana'a, I had really, my expectations or my aspiration were really limited as a woman, as a Yemeni first, and then second as a woman. But because thanks to places like late Dr. Raufa Hassan Center in Sana'a or Tawakkol Karman Yemeni Women Journalists Without Borders organization in Sana'a, the Yemeni Women Journalist Forum for Rahma Hujaira, which seems all like coming to be led by Yemeni women. Thanks to these places, I had, feminist schooling, my political awareness about democracy, social justice, and freedom of press and freedom of expression. These places really that fostered my understanding and led my path to where I am today. The travel ban seems like the first problem for an access, but also there seems to be unwillingness or a deliberate desire to exclude Yemen from especially foreign funding opportunities to the civil society organization, because how challenging, and it could be sometimes time-consuming, money-consuming. It could be like a full-time job just to try to have an access or to get someone from Yemen to travel outside to the US or other places. Because of all of these challenges, organizations and foundations tend to be kind of segregating Yemen from other opportunities given to other countries, affected by conflicts. Unfortunately, Syria, for example, because they're able to reach to Germany and other places, they have had, in comparison to Yemenis, they've had a better off situation when it comes to foreign funding opportunities. But another problem also, like talking about the external problems, is that something that you mentioned, because of the deteriorated Yemeni economy, some of the funding opportunities really lacks understanding of how the currency exchange could really limit or make some people really in a disadvantaged position because of the value of Yemeni rial has lost most of its value. And also, it's very important to have the support for these organizations and trying to understand how the polarization in Yemen has become. It's really, really difficult without having really the absolute strong bond or a connected kind of coalition to support individual or organization from the civil society. Sometimes they would be in a very risky situation. For example, just yesterday, Radhiya al-Mutawakkil from مواطنة organization in Yemen, she had a very powerful hearing in the U.S. House, you call it? The U.S. House Foreign Affairs. And it's shocking, like the amount of hatred and attacks she got online. Because, everyone changed their, or depending on their political affiliation, would absolutely attack you if you don't fit into their side. And also it's very important that to know that this venue for civil society organization have been also hijacked by other powers. Let's say there are organizations funded by the Yemeni government or by the Saudi Arabia or United Arab Emirates, just to attack the other side. And it's very important to take that in consideration whenever you're trying to create some solidarity with organizations similar to مواطنة. Since I don't have much time, but I would like to finish with just one story that maybe could give you an idea about what one person could go through coming from the civil society community in Yemen. There was a newspaper called Ashara that had its peak fame in 2011. It's a locally led publication. It doesn't have a website. It only has a Facebook page, but it doesn't even publish the text online because the group depend on the revenue that when they sell the newspaper. 2011 was it was the honeymoon for democracy in Yemen. And it was very popular. I would say it was the first or the most popular newspaper at that time. And then 2014 happened, and the Houthi-led coalition with Ali Abdullah Saleh took over of Sana'a. And guess what? The first enemy they went to attack was to hit the state TV, state radio, and also start to attacking journalists, harassing them, threatening them, arresting them. And then the newspaper really fell off. Most of the journalists, they were in prison or harassed, or some of them even fled to their villages, escaping or trying to avoid the risk. And then the chief editor was sent death threats. And then because he was very vocal on social media, he was hit in his leg, Nabil Subay. And there are other examples where Mohammed Al-Absi, for example, who was assassinated by the Houthis. We can debate and investigate, but many people believe that he was assassinated by the Houthis. So, and other journalists from the newspaper, Nabil fled to Egypt. I had the chance to meet him and spoke about his situation, and he's dealing with a lot of traumas because of that incident. And I can see we just lost one of the most vocal and partial and respectful journalists because he really don't have the energy anymore to report. Other colleagues of Nabil, for example, Hani al-Junaid, he had to flee to Taiz because he was harassed by the Houthis in Sana'a. And in Taiz, because of his also writings on social media, he was criticizing what the armed groups were doing in Taiz, and he was also again harassed in Taiz, and he had to flee to Aden. And in Aden, he started also like reporting about the situation in Aden through his social media. And again, he was harassed and sent death threats by terrorist groups funded mainly by Saudi Arabia or United Arab Emirates. And he could even give me some names of people who really, he knows, like it was not random, it was systematic and targeted. They wanted to silence him. He was kidnapped for one day. He sent me, no, we didn't hear anything about him for one day. And luckily, because of a lot of local and regional pressure from other pro-press organization, we were able to free him. He was freed, but after like a horrible 24 hours of torture that he cannot even reveal today. Thankfully, he fled to Egypt. In Egypt, he also like faced a lot of threats because Egypt is in a good shape, as we all know. And today, he's in Korea, South Korea, that rejects Yemeni refugees. And that tells you like the agony of these individuals trying to build their country. But because of all these factors coming together, the situation has been, I think, like even if you speak to the old generation, it has never been this difficult before.
Thank you. Thank you so much.